here I am trying to sell this dream and vision to my business, and I'm living this complete nightmare. Mm-hmm. And so now to this day, I know where you're going with it, but it's really true. Not every single morning, because it doesn't happen every day, but it happens, I'd say 70% of the days. I live oceanfront. I've got jets and houses, but the smallest things I'm grateful for. And for some reason, man, when our water got turned back on, it was one of the most grateful moments of my life. I remember in the shower and the water hit me in the face. I'm like, thank you, God. And to this day, 70% of the mornings when the water comes out of the shower and hits me, it takes me back there and I'm grateful.
What's going on, guys? I've got one of the most important coaches in my entire life, the best speaker, the best recruiter, one of the best sales trainers I've ever met. Top 50 wealthiest man, under 50 years old. He was a 7-figure earner by the age of 30, an 8-figure earner by the age of 40, and worth 9 figures. And this is one of the most realest people. I've met a lot of internet influencers. And one thing about Ed is I've seen him not just interact with me, but everybody. He treats everybody the same. He's a very, very transparent human being. And you really are the guy that you see in the Instagram and the big following. How many followers are paying attention to the Maxout movement?
Oh, well, first off, that was very nice. Like, that was a legitimately really kind intro. I don't know. I got 2.2 million on Instagram, probably everything else, another 4 or 5 million, but about 4 million people a month listen to my podcast on iTunes. So it's got a good following, pretty good following.
Well, the coolest thing about it is that you just popped out of nowhere, literally the fastest growing business person in social media history. I think the first time I saw you was at GrowthCon 1. And, I would just tell a quick story just to get into it. If you're watching this, about 2 years ago in my business, I had some struggles, some growing pains. My business grew rapidly. We had some turmoil about who was getting credit for it. And it was really about alignment, core values, and what it took for my business to go from an 8-figure business to a 9-figure business. So I was attracted to your message. I was attracted to the Arete message. And I applied to join an exclusive mastermind. Now, this was something a lot of people don't do. They don't make these large investments into training and coaching, but it's been really my best investment over the last 5 years has been my investment into coaching. And so one of the best investments I've ever made was into this Arete Syndicate. And people have called it a cult. Maybe you've seen it on the internet, but the first night we went to Ed Mylett's house, and he has this American dream, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, $25 million house. And when I heard the story of what it took to build this house, I knew that I had to bring this guy to contractors, to blue collar entrepreneurs. He told me this story of how he kept plowing through construction problems and ended up building a beautiful mansion. And I sit down at dinner on his dock. I'm next to Rob Dyrdek, Joe Dispenza. I have no idea who Joe Dispenza is. And we start talking about life. And one of the things that can happen is it's a real humbling experience to be in groups of people. Anyways, the whole point was I realized I had to kill the old me to become the new me. Yeah. I applied the core values and preaching and really followed Ed and got to know who he was. And I just knew that we had to collaborate on an event. And so I've invited Ed to speak at the Blue Collar American Dream Conference in Fort Lauderdale. And I'm really excited to tell the story of kind of how you started from the regular guy, and you did it with grit. And you did it in a way that really anyone can duplicate, because you've been able to duplicate it with other people. Mm-hmm. And so I want to, ask you, what does Maxout mean? Because that's the name of your movement. And for everyone that hasn't heard of you, what is Maxout all about?
Well, wow, that's a lot. First thing I can tell you, I'm excited to be there. First, I love the American dream. I love that. But I've worked with contractors all my life. Like, contractors helped me become wealthy, the really good ones. And I just want to say this, all y'all listen to this or that'll attend, my dad just passed away of cancer, and he lived a long time, longer than he was supposed to. And I told my dad when he first got cancer, I said, Dad, there's a huge difference between a good doctor and a great doctor. Huge difference. It's life and death. Everyone thinks doctors are all experts, right? Huge difference. There's a huge difference between a great contractor and a good contractor. It's a life-changing difference. So I'm very sensitive to that and appreciative of it. In terms of the Maxout stuff, really for me, it's just sort of been the mantra for my life. You see somebody who seems to have done pretty well in personal development or whatever, at least in my case, it came out of a necessity. I was very insecure, still have some of that. Introverted, still have some of that. And so for me to be a baseline functioning human, I had to learn. So I picked up my first Tony Robbins book 100 years ago. Little did I know he would become one of my dear friends later in life. but I had to get good at this stuff just to function. And then I just got addicted, and I started to tell myself, I'm going to max out everything I do. So just get the most out of it, the most bliss, the most joy, the most income, the most contribution. And that's just sort of a standard. I think in life, you don't get your goals, you get your standards long term. To your point, values. And so my standard is to max out.
One of the things you taught me, okay, nobody else talks about how there's a skill in life that great entrepreneurs have. The difference between good entrepreneurs and great entrepreneurs is a razor's edge. And you taught me something that I do really well, but just to go all in on this ability to never quit. And, the story that you told of what it's like when your water's out, and tell them where you started.
Yeah. Well, the reason I work with entrepreneurs and work mainly for free, other than Arte, that's the only place I generate any income, is because I know what it's like to be a broke one. And so I had my business going. Like I didn't start out real bad. I started out okay, and then it got bad, right? I think a lot of people relate to that. It was going well, and then, like to your point, a few years ago, it went the wrong way. And I found myself already having some success, and then I lost my house, foreclosed on. One day, I'm just newly married. My wife walks out. She goes, "Someone stole the freaking car." I'm like, "Great. We just moved into this apartment. House is foreclosed on. Now her car's stolen." Turns out it wasn't stolen. It was repoed. And then like 3 months after that, our power got turned off. The one thing you never want, man, is your water turned off. And I had the water turned off. It was just horrible. You can't cook. You can't clean. I'm a newlywed. And just, I met my wife in kindergarten, man. So all her life, I've been promising her we're going to live this big dream. And we ended up every morning having to come down our apartment steps, freezing cold, to go to the pool outdoors. There's a shower there with no curtain. And for a month and a half, my wife and I brushed our teeth and showered in our apartment's outdoor pool shower, freezing our ass off. And then I'd walk her back up. It was just shameful. I was emasculated. I was ashamed of myself. And here I am trying to sell this dream and vision to my business, and I'm living this complete nightmare. And so now to this day, I know where you're going with it, but it's really true. Not every single morning, because it doesn't happen every day, but it happens, I'd say 70% of the days. I live oceanfront. I've got jets and houses, but the smallest things I'm grateful for. And for some reason, man, when our water got turned back on, it was one of the most grateful moments of my life. I remember in the shower and the water hit me in the face. I'm like, thank you, God. And to this day, 70% of the mornings when the water comes out of the shower and hits me, it takes me back there, and I'm grateful. So I know what it's like, and and you can come out of it, because I did.
Well, the deal is that, like I said in the beginning, a 7-figure earner by the age of 30, 8-figure earner by the age of 40. And for me, I see like you were in the golden age. It was the technology hadn't quite disrupted. You did it with grit, and you did it with just massive amount of will. Now, what is the future of the American dream? One of the points of this conference is I believe it's my purpose in life. It's to build a Noah's Ark for the struggling middle class and give them an opportunity to service America's homes, because that's where all the money goes, is into building homes, remodeling homes, and protecting the roofs of the homes. And so with more and more storms, of course, I chase hailstorms and hurricanes across the country, and in California, there's fires. But the truth is out of destruction and despair, someone has to come there and bring hope, the calm after the storm. And so there's a lot of people that are going to need help. And as this new America comes on us, and we don't want to talk about what could happen, but what do you think is the future of the American dream?
Well, one of them that's going to be a centerpiece, your model, your market, what y'all do. And I know there's nuances to the different guys, but is their home. One thing COVID's done is it's made the home a much more sacred place, like it used to be for families. They want to be in their home. They're safer in their home. They have an appreciation for being there. They want to make it a special place to be. I think that went away for a while. All this, I got to buy multi-units. I got to do this. We got to travel the world. I mean, I'm going to tell you, all my friends now, most of them are very grateful and appreciative for their home. So I think more and more you're going to see people want to build homes. I don't think that that's cyclical. I think people are going to build homes, but maybe even bigger than that. People are going to want to make sure that they can make the place they live special, and they're going to be willing to put money in it that they didn't used to be willing to put money into it. And then to your point about, hurricanes and all this other stuff, that's just becoming more and more a real part of life. It's just more and more of our reality. So if you were to deal the cards, you said, what industries do I feel like are not bulletproof, but close to bulletproof? If you're good at them, you're right in the center of it. I'm investing in businesses very similar in the same genre that most of you guys all work in, because I'm that sure of what I'm telling you. The American home, repairing that home, protecting that home, is going to be something that's going to be at the forefront of our culture again, much like it was 50 years ago. Those times are back now. And
I believe one thing, and that is that if you don't, that face-to-face selling and the way we sell is dying. And the reason why I'm bringing you to my audience is because you're not only a master of influence, you're a master of building sales teams, of getting more out of your teams, getting more out of the good guys, getting more out of the bad guys, duplicating yourself through training and your systems. You've learned it through, watching other people, hiring coaches, but doing it yourself.
Yep.
What are the characteristics of the best sales organization builders that you've met over the years? I've met some of your disciples, and these guys have some, you wouldn't really pick them out of the crowd,
You would not. You're right. I recruit, Jesus built an army with some ragtag dudes, and I built my sales force with some ragtag dudes. You know what I mean? I'm a ragtag dude, right? And what they have in common, number one, is they've got core values and a culture that they all adhere to and standards. But here's the biggest thing. I'm a psycho. I'm a psycho about keeping things very simple, about transferring skill. Yeah, I'm a motivator. I'm an inspirer. My job is I'm a teacher. I teach you the ability to get yeses. And this may sound really harsh, but the bottom line is businesses grow when people can get a yes. They can do that through Zoom. They can do that through technology. They can do it through copywriting. They can do it in person. They can do it through social media. They can do it through all types of means, but I'm a yes guy. Like when you strip all the rah-rah away, I'm about building teams that get yeses in transferable, explosive ways, in simple ways that average, ordinary people can do it, can execute. And if I can't, and the biggest thing that I think that a great sales leader does is they transfer certainty and belief in the product to people where it exudes out of them. You ever meet a religious nut, not in a bad way, because my wife's one, right? Like you get my wife talking about Jesus, dude, there is literally nothing you can do when you're around her, right? Nothing you could do to get her off that message. And if you can get your sales team, you said Arte is the biggest compliment, as you know, because you know our culture, you could possibly give me, because I want people to become evangelical about their cause. They're almost like a spiritual religious leader. Like you have to have this. It'll change your life. It'll make your life better, because the most certain person always influences the less certain person. And you give your sales team certainty through two things. Number one, through the certainty of your product and then believing in the company and the brand and everything they do, and the certainty in the delivery of the sales pitch, if you will, to them, that they believe in that so strongly that they're comfortable and certain in the way they deliver the offer to people. Those are the things I'm sort of crazy about.
And what's funny, you've said something to me that has just made such an impact. It, for one, helped me really kind of go viral when this pandemic hit, releasing a book. And I went from just selling books to roofers to selling books to all contractors. It's called Contracting Growth Secrets.
I know.
And it helped me really blow up. But my point is like you were a big inspiration in this. And it's that your income in your business is directly proportional to your level of education in your business. And educating people on how to get a yes is going to be the best education that you can give people. And so it's
an example. They just did this great study in the military about soldiers that were killed in combat. And there's all these other elements, but the bottom line is the ones that were, most of them that were killed were not firing their own weapon quickly enough. And the reason they wouldn't fire their weapon quickly enough or at all was a lack of belief they could hit their chosen target. So in some businesses, that's life and death. If your salespeople don't believe they can hit the target with the weapon they're firing, which is their offer, if they don't believe that, they are less likely to make the offer enough times to run the numbers game required to get the yeses. So there's a direct correlation in running large enough numbers with their belief that what they're saying and or doing will get a yes and hit the target.
Well, I will tell you one thing. That's just one of many different things that I've learned. The way that you classify each type of buyer has helped me, teach my teams how to kind of, identify what people's human needs are and wants. Yes. But, for me, I want to say my thoughts and prayers for your dad. My dad is my business partner, and I brought him to an Arte event, and we were having a hard time and struggling. And because basically a lot of success, father and son, we're businesses, and I've grown the business with him, and he's been my coach but I've taken the business to places that have never been done before. And so figuring out how to, both exist has been like two bulls at times.
I bet.
And so Arte, getting the core values, getting the alignment, And then bringing my dad to the Arete event where you spoke and you talked about your son and how one day during a golf tournament, you said, we are going to win this son of a bitch. We are going to be great. You're not going to get beat by these PGA golfer kids. You're going to go after it. And from that day, your son became a collegiate golfer, and my dad and I both had tears running down our sides. And, you know, we you know, bonded that night in a way that allowed us to get a deal on paper. And ever since we've had that deal on paper, that clarity, nothing becomes dynamic until it becomes clear. It really helped change things. And that's what I didn't understand about life is core values, alignment, and clarity with all your people and good communication is how you get the next step in business.
Well, I just got to tell you, you got to indulge me. Just listen to you, bro. Like, I've always been a fan, but I'm so proud of you. Like, you become this world freaking class communicator. And the reason is, one, you've studied people, but like you own the content and the information that you know you're an expert, right? Like, I'm just watching you like, wow. And I'm not patronizing you. I'm telling you how, you know me, man, compliments don't pour out of me unless they're really real. I'm super proud of you. This is awesome. Like, I'm sitting here going, I can't wait to tell Andy, like, well, he's my partner in Arete, those of you that don't know, but like, I'm really, really impressed and I'm excited. Like, you got me fired up about this now.
And so the thing about Ed, guys, I mean, I'm telling you, my guys, they don't know how to build sales teams. They don't have an office. They don't have the money for it. They're worried about how to advertise on social media. They're afraid of making videos. They look at somebody like you and they're like, how the hell does he do it? But they don't realize that they got it inside of them. And what I want them to know is that when they come to watch you speak, you're going to show them what you've showed 50,000 people, that you're only one person away from a transformation in your business. And can you tell me about one of those persons that might've changed your life, or just a story about coming across to somebody like that?
No, totally. But what you just said is really right. I'm also going to teach you guys how to make simple transferable content that you could do. And the less curated, the less professional, my stuff, it's like just me with a damn camera talking does the best stuff in any hieroglyphic graphic crap that I do. But yeah, I'm fit. I'm a pretty fit dude for 50. I'll be 50 years old. And I came across a dude that changed my life. I had a doctor. I went and got a heart scan. And I had an uncle die at 50. So I got my arteries scanned. And what do most doctors do? You know, they look at your information, go, okay, take Lipitor and get out of here. I met a world changer. I met an influencer. I met a guy who made me think, like make change, right? A salesman. He was a salesman. And what he did is he looked at my scan and he brings me into the office and he goes, hey, are you married? This is the first thing he asked me with my clogged arteries in the scan. I go, yeah, why are you asking me that? He goes, I'm just curious. Like, you okay if some other dude was running around your mansion with your hot wife when you were gone? I'm like, what? He goes, do you have a daughter? I said, well, she's on the way. My wife's pregnant. He goes, you have any interest in walking your daughter down the aisle, boy? Excuse my language, but I'm like, what the is in that scan, dude? What is in there? He's like, do I have your attention? Because I'm going to tell you right now, you will not be around to walk your little girl down the aisle. This is when my wife was pregnant with her. I'm like, dude, tell me what's in the scan. I need it, right? And he's like, all right, listen, here's the good news. If you do exactly what I'm going to tell you to do, you walk her down the aisle. There'll be no other dude running around your house. I'm like, give me the info. And to this day, man, when I don't want to get up and work out in the morning, I go, Bella's wedding. Bella's wedding. He got me to buy in completely based on linking pain or pleasure to doing it. Facts tell, stories sell. He told me a story that I could picture, that here it is 17 years later and I don't forget. And it's one of the reasons I'm a relatively fit dude. Is not my discipline. Listen to me. It's my reasons. And then I met one of those people that changed my life.
And I want to tell you, it's about finding, a kind of a beginner's mind where you can learn from everybody. When you're a guy that's had the success that you've had, it's so humbling, even in your interviews, for you to be so curious with every type of human being, and you can hear it with the content. If you've never watched Ed's podcast, the thing about Ed's podcast is that they always have a spiritual aspect, an energy aspect, a world aspect. It goes way beyond finances. And really getting to know Ed, it's about bringing like this kind of quality of human being and elevating the status of contractors and blue collar entrepreneurs. Because we're frowned upon. We're looked at as, the roofers is a dark industry where there's drunks on the roof and don't show up on time, or that they're not professional, as opposed to a banker or, something like that. But, the truth is that I'm doing a deal coming up here And I was, wondering, you know, what financial services should blue collars entrepreneurs invest in these uncertain times? There's going to be, a lot of people wanting to grow their money, guys that are investing into multifamily, investing in their companies. Where are you advising people in the market right now?
Well, I'm licensed, so I have to be kind of careful of giving anything specific. I'm not allowed to do that. But I can say to you that I think, one, I do like the multifamily space just because I think I like that space. The reason I like that space is I'm not as concerned if values drop temporarily when I'm getting positive cash flow. So I do like that. What I will say is that what I have found with my friends, regardless of the industry they're in, is they spend their money. They just don't save it, period. And one of the things I've always done is I'm a crazy, aggressive, ferocious, ridiculous, psychopathic saver of money. And I've made good and bad investments. But what I don't do is spend money to impress people who don't give a shit with the stuff that I bought. And so at this stage of my life, I'm a cash buyer for almost everything I have because I've saved cash. So what I would say, this may sound really corny, just stack your paper. When you're making paper, and here's the thing, guy told me this a long time ago. Guys are good at doing that for a while. All right, I saved. But then they get that pile, 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand, and they cannot resist the temptation. They can't. Like once all right, I'm going to go write a check for this $90,000 truck that I don't need right now, where I could still drive the one I've got. I'm going to make sure I do this vacation with the family. Instead of 4 grand, it's 40 grand. And they blow the pile after they've saved it. I did 2 things. I saved my money, and I didn't blow the pile once I got one. And a lot of you guys right now are nodding your head going, crap, I have saved a few times and I blow the pile of money. What you do with that pile, I have to tell you more one-on-one just because I have a license. I'm not allowed publicly to say, but I do like the multi-unit space. I like things that involve indexes. I'm afraid of the stock market right now. It just looks really, really high to me, but what do I know? That I thought it was high at 27,000 and now it's at 30, right? But it just seems to me that there's a point where that's not going to continue to do what it's doing, but save the money nonetheless.
And that's the biggest lesson I think I wanted to get across, because whenever I heard you speak, that's what you told me, you got to be in a damn hurry. All you are too damn slow at getting rich. And there's nothing wrong with being in a damn hurry to getting rich, because, the truth is that, once you got 10 million, you can make $1 million a year off your investments. And, once you're actually living your purpose, you can have happiness along the way. And I think one of the things I want to share you a personal story. My uncle was my mentor in life. And my uncle basically grew a big roofing company. And there was a time my dad and him were partners. And whenever they were in high school, or I was in high school, they broke up. My uncle got really successful. My dad built a software and kind of went into debt. And I came into the roofing business with a chip on my shoulder, wanted to build a company as big as my uncle's. I paid attention to what my uncle's companies were doing, always trying to be them, always got my butt kicked. And one year after having the success and being the leader in the industry, I found out that he woke up after a series of bad things in life and decided to tragically take his own life. And my business hero, a guy who had made all the money, but had lost some of the purpose, whether it was he didn't stay on his big picture goal, or he didn't keep moving in this personal development journey. And there's a lot of people who are in the contracting world that are content. And content in contracting, I've seen it. It can lead to drug overdose. It can lead to alcohol addiction and drunkenness. And it can lead to some of these bad consequences. And with changes with technology, contractors not knowing how to use it. My biggest deal is like, how do you find peace? One of the things you've said is that you can go to the max, you can go for the big 8-figure years without losing your happiness. And so like, what are your secrets for finding, quality of life along the way?
Oh, wow. There's a lot. But one of the things for me is my happiness is not attached to an external outcome anymore. So I'm not going to be any happier when I get a bigger jet. I'm not going to, I may be, but I'm not linked my happiness to that. I've linked my happiness to, for me, it's serving other people. Any difference I could make, even if that's a compliment to somebody, it makes me happy to compliment people. I have this really weird thing I'm doing lately where people walk by me that are strangers. I just say a quick prayer for them. They don't even know I did it, but I like when I do that stuff. That may seem super hokey to a bunch of contractors, but like I really, really care about people. It makes me happy. But I got to be honest with you, man, I like being busy. And all the negative things you said where you blow money or start drinking or doing drugs is when your business starts getting good. You got a bunch of people in place that are running it and you got time on your hands. My athletes that I coach, My former athletes, you know why they get in trouble after they retire from the NFL or the NBA? They got nothing to do. They're running around the gym all day. They got money to spend, women to meet, drinks to have, Coke to try, and they get busy. They get unbusy and get distracted. Listen, one of the reasons you're successful, if you're becoming successful, is you're an obsessive type personality. You better point that weapon of obsession towards healthy things. There's a fine line between where I'm at in my life and me being incarcerated somewhere had I gone the wrong way. Just being really honest with you. And for me, it was getting obsessed with my faith, my wife, my family, my children, my difference I make in the world, my contribution, and not the unhealthy things. Because when you're a powerful dude and you're vibrating a pretty high frequency, or you're a very religious, prayerful person, you better be real careful what you point your mind at, man, because you're going to get it. Your obsessions, this is not some creative rhyme, your obsessions become your possessions. And so I'm really guarded with what I let myself obsess about. And for the most part, because I'm a dude, man, my mind can go all kinds of different places. Mm-hmm. My obsessions are the beautiful things in my life, my children, my wife. These are the things that appreciate the condolences for my dad. Just think about this. When my dad was passing away, and I was with him when he passed away, think about all the shit he wasn't thinking about. He wasn't thinking about what people think about him or how big his house was. He was thinking about his legacy, the memories he had, the moments he had, the difference he made in his life. The small group of people who really loved him, my sisters, my mom, his grandchildren, a couple hand-selected friends. So if that's what matters when you pass, maybe that's what should matter when you're living. And maybe that's where all your happiness really lies, right? That's where it probably really lies. So those are my obsessions. And I just run up the score in business because I can feed and do more things for other people, more things for my family. And I know I need to stay busy. If I'm not busy, I'm in big trouble.
Well, I know one thing. If you were there with your dad, he was happy and proud of you. And, you know, it was one of his life accomplishments. And your analogy of maxing out, of you having a separate version of yourself that's the full version of your potential, who you meet at heaven's gates and you're the same person. You're literally the same guy. You know, that's the lesson I got from my uncle's funeral. He'd helped so many people get in the business. They had helped so many people. It's like 10,000 people that had helped. And I realized that, you know, it was my legacy that was going to be how many people I helped. And from that point, that's when I decided to reach out and close Grant Cardone on a roof, did 53 roofs for him. He taught me I needed to do online training and Facebook marketing. And from there, the rest is history. A movement was born, but it was because I started investing into coaching, going to these live events. And so I invested into unorthodox coaches. Ed's from the financial services industry, built a financial services industry company bigger than Nationwide in his product service. And he's one of the top 50 wealthiest people under 50. And I want you to apply his recruiting, sales, growth, and his max out life principle to have the American dream, the blue collar American dream. And in Fort Lauderdale at the Diplomat, it's a 5-star hotel. We've got Jesse Itzler. Jesse is a billionaire, man. This guy is an absolute freak.
One of my best friends.
And this guy, man, he's an absolute compliment. This is going to be one of the most intense transformational events that you will ever attend. And so if you're watching this and you want to spend time with Ed's message and with our community, I want you to know this is for door-to-door guys. This is for contractors. This is for roofers, remodelers, home builders, regular entrepreneurs, people in the restaurant industry getting put out of business, oil industry. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Learn about the blue-collar American dream with grit, with entrepreneurship, with the skills that we're going to teach you inside of this conference. You can build the dream life like Ed has. And one thing about it is that you got to change your proximity. And what did changing your proximity do as a cheat code in your life to put yourself around people and be a student of success? How did that help you, Ed?
Well, guys like Jesse, who are good friends of mine, we associate with each other. So still to this point, I try to get myself in close proximity to people who can have an impact on me. I think I do that for Jesse. I know Jesse does that for me. I did not know Jesse was coming. I'm just going to tell you something to endorse the event, bro. I'm going to brag. You have the 2 best speakers on planet Earth coming to your event. I mean, I'm dead serious. I consider Jesse a contemporary. He's an incredible communicator. He's a real entrepreneur, not one of these influencer dudes who hasn't built something. And so for me, man, I've always just kept people close to me that make a difference. I keep people close to me in my faith life just so they can make an influence on me there. You do become the people that you're around. Cardone's a good buddy of mine, has been for many, many years. And there's just a certain energy I get when I talk to guys like Grant, like Jesse. And I got to be honest with you, man, this event that you're having is powerful. This event that you're having matters. I'm a product of going to events similar to what you're organizing. And I've stacked up those events over time, and I'm a different man. I'm a different person, from the people I met at the events to the speakers you know what part of it is, especially if we're able to do this live, like I think we can, just leaving your current environment and getting alone with your thoughts somewhere for a couple days. And yeah, I'm saying something and Jesse's saying something, you're picking up a tip, but it's this inspiration you get of being alone finally with yourself and just thinking a little bit, man. And then there's another contractor you pick up an idea from, and that every little piece of that makes you different. You stack up 4, 5, 6 years of doing this stuff, you're a different human being, man. And so I'm thrilled about coming to this thing. To be honest with you, I'm thrilled about watching you talk. I'm hoping I'm going to watch you talk, and I know I'll get to watch Jesse talk. By the way, speaking of talking, my podcast started 6 minutes ago, so I have to get over there to my guy too.
All right, guys. Well, go ahead and act now. Get the early bird special on the event. Check out Ed, Jesse, and Bradley, Myron Golden, me, and the Sky Diamonds Elite Coaching Group. Look, guys, there's going to be a lot more announcements. We look forward to seeing you. Go ahead and act now. Get the early bird special. Click the link below. Man, I appreciate you, Ed. Thanks a lot, buddy. You have a
brother. Max out, everybody. I'll see y'all soon.
We'll see you.
Yeah.